CreepyCorner stories.
Hey folks, and welcome back to CreepyCorner Stories. Tonight we have two stories from the dark web. One is about UFO footage of things walking inside secret base. The other one is about containment breach that definitely isn't from Earth. Like this video and subscribe if you love scary stories. Let's get into it.
I was hired on the dark web to monitor a live stream labeled Containment Breach. They never told me it involved something not from Earth. I kept telling myself I'd go to sleep after one more video. You know that loop where your brain is fried, but your thumb keeps moving anyway? TikTok, Reddit, Instagram, back to TikTok, like you're trying to outrun your own thoughts. It was one of those nights. My room smelled like cold coffee and takeout. My laptop fan was whining, and the rain outside kept hitting the window in these uneven bursts that made everything feel slower than it was. I had work in the morning. I had emails I hadn't answered. My brother had called twice earlier, and I never called him back. Instead, I was sitting there at 2 a.m. watching a guy rank the worst motel chains in America, like that was somehow important. That's when the message came in. Telegram. Unknown contact. No profile picture. Need live stream monitor. One shift. $3,000. I didn't even react at first. I just stared at it, then flipped back to my video, then back to the message again, like it might change. 3,000 for one shift doesn't exist in normal life, but I still replied. The conversation was off. Not scammy in the usual way. No broken English, no weird urgency, no links right away. Just slow, careful replies. They didn't explain the job. They gave rules. No recording, no screenshots, no contacting anyone in the stream. Log all anomalies with timestamps. Stay until released. If the subject acknowledges observation, log immediately. I read that last one twice. Then again, I asked what the subject was. They took longer to answer that than anything else. Finally, contained biological asset. That should have been enough for me to block them, but instead I asked how long the shift was. Next night, I log in. The site is what threw me first. Not creepy, not dark web edgy, just clean. White background, gray panels, small text. No logos, no menus, no company name anywhere. It looked like something internal, like I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm labeled Monitor 8. There are 7 others listed on the side. No usernames, just numbers. A few green, a few gray. No chat, no sound, just the feed. The room is empty. Concrete walls, steel door, drain in the floor, metal table with a water container and supplies. Overhead lights, some flickering slightly like they're old. That's it. I remember actually leaning back in my chair thinking, this is it. So I start logging. 0003. Room empty 0008. No movement 0014. Lighting stable. It's boring, almost relaxing in a weird way. My phone buzzes a couple times. Group chat. Some dumb meme. I almost pick it up, but I don't want to miss anything and look unprofessional, like that even matters in hindsight. Around 20 minutes in, something changes. Not in the room. On my screen. One of the monitor indicators turns red. Monitor 3. No sound, no alert. Just red. Gone. A few seconds later, text appears in the log. Monitor outage acknowledged. Outage. That word sticks with me immediately. Not disconnected, not left. Outage. I sit up a little. Now I'm actually watching. A minute passes. Nothing. Then the lights flicker. Not fully off. Just a quick dip, like the power hiccuped. At the same time, the camera shakes slightly, just enough to notice. The metal table rattles for a split second. I lean closer to the screen. That's when I see it. There's a mark on the far wall, left side of the door. Long, dark, vertical. It wasn't there before. I'm completely sure of that. It looks like a scrape at first, then like something wet, then dry again depending on how the light hits it. I can't tell what I'm looking at, but I log it anyway. 031, new marking on wall, left of door, appeared after vibration. Before I even finish typing, another monitor goes red. Monitor 6. Now my chest tightens a little. 2 outages within minutes. No explanation. Then the door opens. Slow. Heavy. Like it takes effort. A guy walks in. And this is the part that makes it worse. Not better. He looks normal. White shirt, sleeves rolled up. Dark pants. Blue gloves. Holding a tablet. He looks like someone who works too much and sleeps too little. Not scared exactly. Just tired in a very specific way. Like this is routine. He steps inside, sets a black case on the table. Then he looks directly at the camera. Not vaguely upward. Direct eye contact. Then he raises 2 fingers and points at the floor. Immediately, a system message appears. If staff signal toward observer channel, document only. Do not interpret. So they expected that. That's when something shifts in my head. This isn't just watching something. Something here knows it's being watched. The guy turns away from the camera and starts talking. No audio, but I can see his mouth moving. He's not talking to himself. He's talking to something in the room, something I still can't see. Then the water container slides off the table. Not falls, slides, slow push. Then it drops and cracks open on the floor. Water spreads across the concrete. The guy jumps back hard, almost drops the tablet. And then the water moves. Footprints start appearing, one at a time, pressing into the puddle like something invisible is stepping forward. Each step leaves a clear, wet imprint, heading straight toward him. He freezes, then slowly raises the tablet like he's showing it something, offering it, trying to calm it down. I don't know, but it doesn't work. The tablet bends, inward, like something grabbed it from both sides and crushed it. He drops it immediately. And his face, that's the worst part. It's not confusion, it's not panic, it's recognition. Like he knew this was coming. At the exact same moment, every monitor goes green again. All of them, even the ones that went red. A chat box appears on my screen. It wasn't there before. One message pops up. Monitor 2. You see it now? My hands literally stop moving. I don't even know how to respond. Then, another message appears. Not from a monitor, from the system. Subject displaying awareness of observer channel. That doesn't mean the guy. That means us. I feel this drop in my stomach, like missing a step in the dark. And then, right in the center of the room, the air starts to distort, like heat rising off asphalt. Slowly, something forms, not fully visible, just enough shape to understand it's there. A head, shoulders, too tall, wrong proportions, and it's facing the camera. Perfectly, like it knows exactly where it is. Then the distortion shifts slightly, and I get this horrible, immediate certainty. It's not looking at the camera, it's looking through it, at me. I didn't move. I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. Everything just kind of locked up for a second while I stared at the screen, trying to convince myself I was misreading it, because it still didn't fully look like anything. It was more like absence shaped like something. The air bent around it in a way that made your eyes keep trying to correct it, like when you stare at heat waves too long and your brain keeps glitching between There's nothing there, and there's definitely something there. Except this wasn't random. It was steady, intentional, and it was facing directly at the camera. The guy in the room knew it too. He didn't run. That's what stood out first. He just stood there, breathing fast, shoulders tight, staring at the same spot I was. Like this spot wasn't new to him. Like he'd been here before and knew exactly how bad it could get if he reacted wrong. Slowly, he raised his empty hands. Careful, controlled, like you would with a wild animal. A new system message appeared. Maintain observation. Do not disengage. That hit harder than anything else, because up until that point, I still had this idea I could just close the tab if things got too weird. That line made it clear they were watching us too. The distortion in the center of the room shifted. Not a step, not a walk. It just adjusted, like it didn't need to move the way we do. The footprints in the water changed with it. New ones pressed down without any visible transition, deeper this time, like whatever it was had leaned forward. The man took a step back. That's when it reacted. The lights overhead dimmed again, longer this time. Not flickering, dimming, like something was pulling power out of the room. The camera quality dropped slightly, static crawling at the edges of the frame. And the outline, it became clearer, not fully visible, but enough that my brain stopped trying to deny it. The head shape wasn't right, too narrow at the top, too long overall. The shoulders sloped in a way that didn't match any normal posture. And the worst part, there was no clear boundary. Parts of it just faded out into nothing, like it wasn't fully there. Another message appeared in the chat. Monitor 5. Don't look at the head. I stared at that for a second, then immediately looked back at it. Which, yeah, I know. Stupid. But try not doing that when someone says it. The man in the room shifted sideways, slowly, like he was trying to keep distance without triggering anything. His eyes never left it. He reached one hand toward the black case on the table, carefully, slow enough that it almost didn't look like movement. The thing reacted again, this time faster. The distortion snapped forward slightly, not a full movement, more like a glitch, like one frame skipped, and suddenly it was closer. The footprints reflected that instantly, closer to him now, too close. He froze, hand still halfway to the case, breathing harder now. You could see his chest rising faster, losing control. Another system message. Minimize sudden motion. Too late. The man grabbed the case, opened it. Inside, something metallic, small, handheld. I couldn't fully see what it was, but it had a grip and a short barrel. Not a gun, something else. He raised it, aimed it directly at the distortion. For a second, nothing happened. Then the screen glitched, hard. Full distortion across the feed, static tearing horizontally, like the signal was being dragged. The camera warped, bending the edges of the room inward for a split second. And in that distortion, I saw it clearly. Not the whole thing, just part of the face. There weren't features the way we understand them. No eyes, no mouth. But there was structure, layers, like overlapping shapes trying to form something familiar and failing. The feed snapped back. The man was on the ground. I didn't see him fall. He was just down, on his side, sliding slightly across the wet floor, like something had pushed him. The device he was holding skidded away, spinning once, before stopping near the drain. The distortion was right over him now. No transition, no steps, just there. The water around his body started to move again. Not from him, from pressure, like something was pressing down into it with weight that didn't match what we could see. The man's body jerked, once, sharp, like a reflex, then stopped. The chat updated again. Monitor 2. Don't blink. I realized I hadn't. My eyes were burning, but I couldn't look away. Another system message replaced the chat entirely. Observer, attention required. The distortion turned, slowly, away from the man, back toward the camera. And this time, it leaned closer. The image warped again, but not like before. More focused, like it was adjusting itself to the lens, learning it. Then something happened that didn't make sense. The timestamp in the corner, it stopped, completely frozen, but the feed kept moving. The distortion tilted slightly, and for the first time, I saw depth inside it, not surface, inside, like looking through layers of glass into something much farther away than the room itself. My laptop screen flickered, just once. Then my mouse moved. I didn't touch it. The cursor dragged slowly across the screen, across the event log, and stopped in the text input field. I felt my hand on the desk, still, not moving, and then letters started appearing, not fast, not typing, just showing up. Can you see me? I didn't type that. None of the monitors could. There was no shared input, no way for someone else to access my field. Another line appeared under it. You are far. My throat went dry instantly. The distortion on the screen shifted again, and this time, it didn't feel like it was inside the room anymore. It felt closer, wrong kind of closer, like the screen wasn't a window, like it was a direction. I didn't type anything back. I couldn't. My hands were still on the desk, but they didn't feel connected to anything. Like if I tried to move them, something else would move first. The text box stayed open, cursor blinking under the last line. You are far. The room on the feed hadn't changed. The man was still on the floor, not moving. The water around him had spread wider, thin streams running towards the drain. The crushed tablet was still there, bent almost in half. Everything looked normal again, except for the thing. It wasn't as visible anymore. The distortion had faded slightly, like it had stepped back, but I knew it hadn't gone anywhere. You don't unsee something like that. A new message popped into the chat. Monitor 2. Don't respond. Then immediately. Monitor 5. It learns faster if you do. That word stuck. Learns. Before I could even process that, the system overrode the chat again. External communication disabled. The messages disappeared, like they'd never been there. My cursor was still blinking, the text still sitting there, waiting. Then my laptop fan kicked up. Loud. Way louder than it should have been for a simple stream. The screen brightness dimmed slightly on its own. I hadn't touched anything. And then, a third line appeared. Not that far. My chest tightened so fast it actually hurt, because that didn't feel like guessing anymore. That felt like correction. The distortion on the feed shifted again, but this time, I wasn't looking at the room. I was looking at the reflection in the observation glass. Something moved there, behind the camera. I leaned closer without realizing it, trying to make sense of the reflection. It was faint, warped, hard to read, but there was movement where there shouldn't be anything at all, like a shape passing behind whoever or whatever was filming. The timestamp flickered, still frozen. Then it jumped, not forward, sideways. The numbers glitched into something unreadable for a split second before snapping back. My internet icon in the corner dropped to 1 bar, then full, then gone, then back again. The feed never disconnected. Another system message. Feed stability compromised. Continue observation. I almost laughed at that. Not because it was funny, because it was so detached from what was actually happening. Like someone somewhere still thought this was under control. The distortion in the room stretched. That's the only word for it. It didn't move closer. It elongated, like something reaching without physically traveling. And then, the camera angle changed, just slightly, like it had been nudged. No warning, no transition. One frame to the next. Now it was lower, closer to the ground, closer to the man. I felt something cold crawl up the back of my neck, because cameras don't just adjust themselves like that. Not in a locked room. The man's hand twitched. I froze. It was small, barely noticeable, but it moved. He wasn't dead. Before I could process that, his body jerked again, harder this time, like something had yanked him from underneath. Then, he started dragging, not crawling, not trying to move, being pulled, slow, steady, across the wet floor, toward the center of the room, toward the distortion. I couldn't breathe right. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until my chest started burning. The water streaked under him, leaving long trails. His head hit the concrete once, hard enough that I flinched. Still no sound, just movement. Then he stopped. Right under it, the distortion thickened, more visible now, more defined. And for a second, just a second, I could see through it again. Not the room, not the walls, something deeper, darker, layered, like space folded in on itself. My screen flickered. Then my webcam light turned on. I didn't even realize it at first. Just that tiny glow in the corner of my laptop. My stomach dropped instantly. I reached for it. Actually moved this time. My hand hit the top of the screen, trying to close it, cover it, anything. The moment I touched it, the feed glitched violently. The distortion snapped. Not in the room. At me. The screen warped, stretched, like the image was being pulled forward. And in that split second, I saw something reflected in my own black screen, behind me. I spun around so fast, my chair slammed into the wall. Nothing there. Just my apartment. Dark window. Desk. Door still closed. When I turned back, the feed was stable again. The webcam light was off, but the text box had changed. The previous lines were gone, completely wiped. Now there was only one. Closer. I didn't type. I didn't move. I just stared. And then, my phone buzzed. Not a notification, a call. Unknown number. I let it ring once, twice, 3 times. Then it stopped. A second later, my laptop speakers clicked. I hadn't heard any audio this entire time. Not once. Until now. Static. Soft at first. Then clearer. And under it, breathing. Not from the room. From my speakers. I didn't hang up the call. I didn't answer it either. I just sat there staring at my phone, like it might explain itself. Like the screen would show a name if I waited long enough. It didn't. Just unknown number, and the missed call, sitting there, like it had always been there. Then the audio on my laptop got louder. It wasn't random static. It had rhythm, uneven, dragging, almost like something breathing through something broken. I looked back at the screen. The room was still there. The man hadn't moved, still lying under it. But the distortion, it was clearer now. Not fully visible, but more anchored, like it had decided to stay. Another system message appeared. Audio channel unlocked. That made no sense. There hadn't been an audio channel before. The breathing continued. Closer now. Not echoing like it was in a room. flat, direct, like it wasn't coming from the feed. My speakers popped. Then, a voice, not fully formed, not clean, like multiple sounds layered slightly out of sync. See, you. I froze completely. The text box updated again. No typing, just appearing. Not screen. My throat tightened. The feed flickered. For a split second, the camera angle shifted again, and this time, I saw more of the observation glass. Something was wrong with the reflection. There were too many angles, too many layers, like the glass wasn't reflecting the room correctly, or like it was reflecting something else entirely. The voice came again, clearer. Not through that. I pushed my chair back slightly, without realizing it. Just a few inches, but it felt like too much movement. The distortion reacted, not in the room, on my screen. The image warped inward, like everything was being pulled toward the center point where it stood. The edges of the room stretched slightly, like the perspective was breaking. Then, the camera moved again. This time, it wasn't subtle. It tilted, slowly, deliberately, until it was no longer aimed at the man. It was aimed directly at the observation glass, at its own reflection, and for the first time, I saw the other side. Not clearly, not fully, but enough. There was a hallway behind the glass, dim lighting, concrete, same as the room, and something standing there, tall, still, facing the glass, facing the camera, facing me. My chest went tight again, because the proportions, they matched. The thing in the room, the distortion, and whatever was behind the glass. Same height, same shape. The voice in my speakers shifted, less broken now. Closer than you think. The text box updated again. Turn around. I didn't. I couldn't. My whole body locked up again, like if I moved at all, something would happen immediately. The feed flickered violently, static tearing across the screen. The hallway behind the glass distorted, and the figure there moved, not walking, not stepping. It snapped closer, one frame far, next frame, right up against the glass. The reflection broke completely. For a second, I wasn't even sure what I was looking at anymore. Just layers of shapes, trying to resolve into something human and failing. The man on the floor twitched again, hard, like whatever was above him tightened its grip. Then, everything stopped. No movement, no distortion, no flicker. The room looked empty again, completely empty. The man was gone. The water was still there. The crushed tablet, the case, everything else, but no body. I leaned forward slowly, trying to process it, trying to make sense of where he could have gone. Then I noticed something on the floor. New marks, not footprints, drag lines, leading toward the center, and then gone, like they just stopped existing mid-path. The system updated again. Subject relocated. That word hit wrong. Relocated. Like this was expected. Like this was part of the process. The audio cut for a second, then came back. Right behind it, another sound. Soft. Close. Not from the speakers. From my room. I felt it before I processed it. That shift in space. That sense of something being what it wasn't supposed to be. Then, a faint movement behind me. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a small shift, like weight settling. I didn't turn around, not at first. I just sat there, staring at the screen, waiting for it to correct itself, for the feed to glitch, for the man to reappear, for anything to snap back into something that made sense. Nothing did. The room stayed empty. The drain, the table, the water still slowly spreading. No body. Behind me. That sound happened again. Soft, like something shifting its weight on the floor. My throat felt tight, dry. I could hear my own breathing now, louder than the laptop, louder than the rain outside. The screen flickered once. The text box updated. "Don't wait!" My hands finally moved. Slow, careful. I reached for my phone first. No signal, not low signal, none. Just blank. The Wi-Fi icon on my laptop was still showing full bars. The stream hadn't dropped for a second. The audio came back through the speakers, clearer now, closer. "You already did." I felt something cold brush the back of my shirt. I moved. I turned around fast enough that my chair tipped slightly. Nothing. Same room, same walls, door closed, window dark. But something felt wrong. Not visually, not obvious, just off. Like when you walk into a room and forget why you went there, except it sticks. I turned back to the laptop. The feed had changed, not the room, the angle. It was closer now. Zoomed slightly toward the center, toward where the distortion had been, and it was back, faint, barely visible, but there. And this time, it wasn't alone. Behind it, another shape, not in the room, deeper, further back than the wall should allow. The same layered space I'd seen before, only now it wasn't empty. There were more, not moving, just there, watching. My chest tightened again, because I understood something I hadn't before. The room wasn't the containment, it was the window. The text box updated again. "You opened it." My head snapped back toward my apartment. That feeling again, stronger now, like the space behind me wasn't empty anymore. I didn't want to turn around, but I did. Slow this time, careful. The room looked the same, until I focused on the corner near my door. The shadows didn't match. They were too deep, too still, like they weren't reacting to the light in the room. And then, they shifted, not spreading, not moving across the wall, pulling inward, forming. That same distortion, not on a screen, in my room. My legs locked instantly. I couldn't step back, couldn't move forward. The laptop behind me made a sharp sound, like a notification. Then, the voice, not through the speakers, right behind me. Not far anymore. I didn't turn. I couldn't. My eyes were stuck on that corner, on the shape slowly pushing itself into something my brain refused to fully process. The air felt heavy, like pressure building. Then, everything stopped. The distortion froze. The pressure dropped. Silence. I blinked, and it was gone. Completely gone. The room was normal again. I turned back to the laptop, so fast my chest hurt. The feed, offline, just a blank screen. No room, no log, no monitors. The entire site, gone, like it never existed. My Wi-Fi dropped immediately after. Phone signal came back a few seconds later. No new messages, no missed calls, nothing. I checked Telegram. The conversation with Northstar _07, gone, not deleted, not user unavailable, just never there. I sat there for a long time, didn't sleep, didn't move much, just kept looking between the laptop and that corner of the room. Nothing else happened that night. But here's the part I can't explain. The next morning, I opened my notes file, the one I'd been logging everything in. Every timestamp was still there, every detail, except one thing. At the very bottom, a line I never wrote, no timestamp, no formatting, just text. Session complete. I closed the file immediately, shut the laptop, didn't touch any of it for days. I told myself it was over, that whatever that was, stayed there. But sometimes, not every night, just randomly, I'll be on my phone, or sitting at my desk, or walking past a dark window, and I'll catch it. Not fully, never fully, just that same distortion, barely there, and always, always facing me. I bought a data leak on the dark web that supposedly contained UFO footage. It wasn't ships. It was something walking inside government facilities. I wasn't planning to get into this tonight. I was literally about to shut my laptop, brush my teeth, and try to fix my sleep schedule for once. But then I opened my notes app for something else and saw the folder name again, a UX_17, and it just sat there. You ever have something you keep ignoring because thinking about it too long makes your chest feel tight? That's this. It started like most bad decisions do. Late, bored, and online longer than I should have been. I'd been editing all night, half watching YouTube, half scrolling Reddit. There was rain outside, light, annoying, the kind that makes everything feel slower. I ended up in one of those deep threads about UFO leaks. Not the viral stuff, but the buried posts where people argue over details nobody else cares about. That's where I saw the listing. Some seller pushing a raw archive of supposed government footage, around 18 gigs, claimed it came from internal systems, security cameras, review terminals, stuff not meant for public release. Sounded fake, but the replies didn't. Nobody was hyped. No aliens confirmed nonsense, just people picking it apart. One guy said the UFO label was wrong. Another said previous buyers mislabeled the content because they expected ships. Then there was one comment. Not ships. Keep sound off first watch. That stuck with me for some reason. I bought it. Yeah, I know. Used a separate laptop. Downloaded the archive. Decrypted it. Folder name was just AUX_17. No dramatic title. No attempt to sell it anymore. Inside were folders labeled like this: Corridor, Holding Thermal Review, MISC_events. That was the first moment it didn't feel like UFO content anymore. It felt internal, like surveillance. There was also a text file, short instructions. One line I remember exactly. Motion-triggered clips may begin after onset, meaning whatever happens might already be happening when the video starts. I opened a random file from Corridor. The video looked normal. Static camera in the corner of a hallway. Clean floors, white walls, secure door at the end. The kind of place that's always locked, always monitored. Nothing for a few seconds. Then a guy walks in. Maintenance, probably. Coveralls, carrying a hard case. He stops halfway down the hall, facing the secure door, like he's waiting for access. Then he pauses, and slowly turns around. That part felt real immediately. Not exaggerated, not jumpy. Just wrong. Like he heard something he didn't expect to hear in a place that's supposed to be controlled. He takes a step back, then another, raises one hand slightly, palm out, like he's trying to calm something down, but there's nothing visible yet. I actually paused it there the first time. I remember thinking, okay, this is staged, because that's the logical answer, right? Some kind of indie horror project using fake security footage. Then I played it again. This time, I didn't pause. The camera glitches for maybe a frame, and something enters from the left side of the hallway. Not fast, not dramatic, just present. That's the part that messed with me. It didn't jump into frame. It didn't rush. It just became visible, like it had already been there, and the camera finally caught up. It was roughly human height, maybe a little taller, thin, but not in a normal way. Its proportions felt slightly off, like everything was stretched just enough to notice without being obvious. The arms hung too low. The way its legs moved, there was a delay, like the motion wasn't synced right. Not robotic, not animal, just off. The guy drops the case. You don't hear it at first. I had volume muted, but you see it hit. He stumbles back, almost trips. The thing keeps moving forward. No reaction to him panicking. No change in speed. Just matching him. Step, step, step. Like distance didn't matter. That's when I replayed it with sound. There's no footsteps. That's the first thing. Instead, there's this dull, hollow noise. Like something shifting weight inside a container. Hard to explain. It didn't match the floor. Didn't match the movement. And the guy, he says something. Not loud, not screaming. Just quiet. Like he already knows how this ends. I had to turn the volume down because it made it worse. The clip cuts before anything happens. Just ends mid-movement. No resolution. No explanation. I sat there for a while after that, trying to convince myself it was fake. Good editing, maybe. Some project that never got released. But then I checked the timestamp data, and the file had metadata tags consistent with internal camera exports. I didn't even know how to fake that, but it looked structured, system generated. Still, one clip doesn't mean anything, so I opened another. Different hallway, different camera angle. No people this time, just an empty corridor with lights humming. The clip starts already in motion, like the instructions warned. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I realized something was wrong with the far end of the hall. The lighting. It wasn't flickering. It was bending, like something was passing through the space, but not fully visible. The light didn't cut off. It warped slightly, like heat distortion, except sharper. Then it stepped forward. Same shape, same wrong proportions. And this time, there was no person reacting to it, which somehow made it worse, because it just kept walking, like it knew exactly where it was going. That's when I stopped thinking UFO, because nothing about this had anything to do with the sky. These were indoor cameras, controlled environments, secure facilities, and whatever this was, it wasn't being discovered. It was already inside. I told myself to stop after that second clip. Close the folder, delete it, move on. That was the plan. It even felt reasonable for about 5 minutes. I shut the laptop, sat there in the dark, with just the rain outside and my phone lighting up with random notifications, and tried to convince myself I just watched a well-made fake. But the problem wasn't what I saw. It was how consistent it felt. Fake stuff usually slips somewhere. Lighting doesn't match. Movements feel exaggerated. There's always a moment where it breaks if you look too long. This didn't. So I opened it again. This time, I went into the holding folder. That name had been bothering me since I first saw it. The first video in there was longer than the others, almost 2 minutes. Static camera again, mounted high in a corner. The room looked like some kind of containment space. Not a jail cell, not exactly medical either. Too clean, too empty. White walls, reinforced door, no windows. There was a drain in the center of the floor and a metal bench bolted to one side. No one inside, at least at the start. The timestamp said the clip began at 3:12:44, but the instructions popped into my head again. Motion-triggered clips may begin after onset, so I kept watching. Nothing happened for maybe 20 seconds. Then the door unlocked. You don't hear a loud click, just a soft shift, like pressure releasing. The door opens slowly, and two people step in, both wearing the same kind of coveralls as the guy from the hallway clip. One of them is holding something, looked like a tablet or a control device. The other one stays near the door. They're not talking, at least not loud enough to hear. The one with the tablet takes a few cautious steps into the room, scanning it like he's expecting something to already be there. That feeling again, like they weren't entering an empty space. Then he stops, not suddenly, just stops moving forward, tilts his head slightly, and takes one step back. The second guy near the door notices immediately. You can see it in the way he shifts his weight, like he's deciding whether to step in or pull back. Neither of them says anything, and for a second, it looks like nothing's there. Then you notice it. Not directly. In the reflection, there's a faint sheen on the floor, polished concrete or something, and right near the center drain, the reflection doesn't match the room anymore. Something's interrupting it. Something thin, standing where nothing should be standing. I actually leaned closer to the screen at that point, like that would help. The figure isn't fully visible, not like the hallway footage. It's partial, like the camera can't fully process it unless it moves. The man with the tablet takes another slow step back, and that's when it shifts, not toward them, just adjusts, like it's turning its attention. The reflection stretches wrong for a split second, then the actual shape starts to come into view. Same proportions, too long, too narrow, arms hanging lower than they should, but this time there's more detail. Not clear detail, nothing sharp enough to fully understand, but enough to see that it's not smooth. Its surface moves, not like skin, more like something layered that doesn't fully stay in place. The guy near the door immediately backs out, doesn't even hesitate. The one with the tablet doesn't. He's frozen. And then, this part stuck with me more than anything. He lowers the tablet, like he already knows, recording, it doesn't matter. The thing doesn't rush him, doesn't react aggressively. It just takes one step forward, that same off timing in its movement, like the motion happens in pieces instead of one continuous action. The clip cuts right there. No impact, no resolution, just gone. I sat there for a long time after that one, not even watching anything, just staring at the file list, because now there was a pattern. Different rooms, different people, same thing, not random, not chaotic, contained, observed, and whatever it wasn't acting like it had just appeared. It moved like it understood the space, like it had done this before. I should have stopped there, but at that point, stopping didn't feel like relief. It felt like leaving something unfinished. So I opened the review folder, and that's where it stopped feeling like a leak, and started feeling like I wasn't supposed to have it at all. The review folder didn't have as many files. That was the first thing I noticed. Everything else had a scatter of clips, different cameras, different timestamps, but this one was organized. Fewer videos, longer durations, cleaner naming, not random exports, curated, like someone picked these on purpose. The first clip I opened wasn't a security camera. It was a screen recording. You could see a desktop interface, some kind of internal system. Dark background, multiple panels, timestamps, camera IDs, playback controls. The kind of software you don't get unless you're inside whatever network this came from. There was a video already loaded in the center panel. Paused. The timestamp on the footage read 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 11 seconds. Location tag was partially cut off, but I could make out Sector 3, lower access. There were 2 people in the recording, not physically in the video, off screen. You could hear them. The audio quality was clearer than anything else so far. One voice older, calm. The other younger, uneasy. The younger one says, "Is this the one from last week?" The older one doesn't answer right away. You hear a mouse click. The video starts playing. It's another corridor, wider than the others, more industrial. Exposed pipes along the ceiling, heavier doors, harsher lighting. The kind of place that feels like it's underground, even if you don't know for sure. Empty at first, then movement at the far end, not entering from the side this time. It's already there, walking toward the camera, slow, controlled. The younger voice speaks again, quieter now. "Why does it look clearer here?" The older one says, "Different system, less compression." That sentence stuck, because it meant this, whatever it was, always looked like that. The bad quality in the other clips wasn't hiding it. This was just what it looked like. As it got closer, more details started to come through. Its shape wasn't unstable. That was my first assumption before, like it was flickering or phasing or something. It wasn't. It was consistent, just wrong. The limbs were too long, but not in a stretched way. More like they were built with different proportions entirely. The arms hung low, almost reaching its knees. The torso was narrow, but not fragile looking. And the head. I don't know how to explain the head. It wasn't featureless, but nothing on it stayed clear long enough to describe. Like your eyes couldn't lock onto it properly. The younger voice says, "Why isn't it contained?" And that's when the older one finally answers, flat, "It is." That didn't make sense. It's walking freely down a corridor. No restraints, no barriers, nothing stopping it. The younger one says, "No, I mean, this is outside the room." Pause. Then the older one, "Watch." The thing stops moving, not because something blocks it. It just stops. Right in the middle of the corridor, completely still. And for a second, it looks like the video froze. Then a person walks into frame from a side door. Same kind of staff as before. Coveralls. ID badge. He doesn't see it. That's the part that hit hardest. He just walks straight past it, close enough that their shoulders should touch. But he doesn't react, doesn't slow down. Nothing. The younger voice goes, "Wait, what?" The older one cuts in. It doesn't register unless it wants to. I felt that sentence more than I understood it. The staff member keeps walking, exits frame. The thing remains where it is, still motionless. Then, after the guy's gone, it starts moving again. Same direction, same pace, like nothing interrupted it. The younger voice is breathing heavier now. You can hear it. Then why did they see it? Another pause. Mouse movement. The video scrubs slightly forward. The thing is closer to the camera now. The older voice says, "Because it let them." That was the moment I actually leaned back from the screen. Not because of what I was seeing, but because of what that meant. This wasn't something escaping. It wasn't something breaking containment. It was choosing when to be noticed. The clip keeps going. The thing reaches a door at the end of the corridor, stops again, tilts its head slightly. Then the video glitches, not like before. This one's heavier. Full distortion across the screen for a second. When it clears, the corridor is empty. Nothing there. No door opening. No transition. Just gone. The younger voice says, almost whispering, "Where did it go?" And the older one answers, same calm tone the entire time. "Check the next camera." The recording ends there. No follow-up, no explanation, just that instruction. I didn't open another file right away. I just sat there, replaying that one in my head, because up until then, I thought I was watching something physical, something contained in rooms, moving through hallways. But this felt different, not like it was moving through the facility, more like it was moving between the cameras. And that's when I noticed something I hadn't paid attention to before. Every clip I'd watched, cut off before anything actually happened. No contact, no aftermath, nothing you could point to and say, this is what it does. Just approach, presence, observation, like the footage wasn't documenting incidents. It was documenting exposure. And suddenly, the warning in the text file made a lot more sense. If impact sounds occur with no visible source, continue playback. I hadn't heard anything like that yet, but now I wasn't sure I wanted to. I didn't go into the last folder right away. I actually closed everything and just sat there with my hand on the laptop, like it was hot. My room felt different. Same space, same desk, same stupid half-empty coffee, but quieter in a way that didn't feel normal. Even the rain had stopped, which made it worse. I kept thinking about that line. It doesn't register unless it wants to. That doesn't fit anything logical. Cameras pick things up, or they don't. People see something, or they don't. There isn't supposed to be a choice on the other side of that. But every clip I'd seen followed that rule. Some people reacted, some didn't. Same spaces, same thing present, different outcomes. I opened the laptop again. There was one folder left I hadn't touched yet. Thermal. I don't know why, but I expected that one to make it less confusing. Like heat signatures would simplify it somehow. Strip away whatever visual distortion was happening. I was wrong. The first clip was already in progress when it started. Outdoor camera this time. Perimeter fence, floodlights, empty ground stretching out past a secured boundary. You could see the thermal overlay clearly. Everything tinted in that usual gradient. Cold surfaces dark, warmer objects brighter. At first, nothing. Then I noticed the guard, far right side of the frame, walking along the fence line. Rifle slung, slow pace, routine patrol. His heat signature was clear, bright, normal. He stops, not suddenly, just slows down, like something caught his attention. And then, this is the part that didn't make sense. Something appears on the thermal feed that wasn't there a second ago. Not fading in, not entering from off-screen, just present. But it wasn't bright. That's what I expected. If it was a body, it should have shown heat. Instead, it showed as absence. A shape darker than the background, colder than the ground, colder than the air. Human-shaped, but stretched slightly. Same proportions as the others. The guard is looking straight at it. No hesitation, no confusion, which means he can see it. That lines up. But then something else happens. His posture changes. Not fear, recognition. That's what bothered me most. He lowers his weapon. Not fully. Just enough that it's not aimed anymore. Takes one step closer. The thing doesn't move. It just stands there in that same unnatural stillness. The thermal distortion around it is wrong. Not like heat shimmer. More like the image itself is struggling to define its edges. The guard says something. Audio's clearer in this clip. You're not scheduled. That's what it sounded like. Not panic, not shock. Like he thinks it's supposed to be someone, or something authorized. There's a pause. Then that same sound I heard before. That hollow, internal shifting noise. But louder. Closer. The guard freezes. Now it hits him. Now something's off. He takes a step back. Raises the rifle again, but not steady. And the thing doesn't advance. Doesn't lunge. It just tilts. Slightly. Like it's studying him. Then the audio spikes. A sharp, heavy impact sound. But nothing moves on screen. The guard jerks backward like he's been hit. Falls out of frame. The thing is still standing exactly where it was. No contact. No visible action. Just that sound. The clip keeps going. That's what made it worse. Because the instructions were right. If impact sounds occur with no visible source, continue playback. The camera doesn't cut. It stays on the empty fence line. The thing doesn't leave. It doesn't react. It just remains there. And after about 10 seconds, the guard crawls back into frame, dragging himself, one arm not moving right. Thermal signature spiking. Injury, stress, something. He's trying to get away. And as he moves, the thing finally does too. One step. Same, slow, wrong motion. Closing distance without urgency. Like it already knows the outcome. The clip cuts there. No follow-up. No confirmation. Just ends. I didn't open another thermal file after that. Didn't need to. Because now there was something new added to everything else I'd seen. It didn't just appear. Didn't just choose when to be seen. It could interact. Without touching. Without crossing the space. In a way the camera could track. And the worst part, that guard, he thought it belonged there. At first. Like whatever this was, wasn't unknown to them. Just not supposed to be there at that time. I minimized the folder and just sat there again, staring at my desktop. That should have been the point where I deleted everything. No curiosity left. No interest. Just that heavy, sinking feeling that I'd gone too far into something I didn't understand. But there was still one thing I hadn't checked. The file list. Not the videos. The timestamps. And once I noticed the pattern in those, everything got worse. I didn't notice it at first, because I was too focused on what was in the videos. But once I stopped opening files, and just looked at the details, the timestamps started lining up in a way they shouldn't. Different folders, different cameras, different parts of the facility, but the times overlapped, not close together, exactly overlapping. Same minute, same second. I went back to the corridor clip, the first one I watched with the maintenance guy. Timestamp 1:22:09. Then I checked the holding room clip. 1:22:09. Same exact time, different location. I felt that drop in my stomach immediately. I checked another thermal clip. 1:22:09. That's when it stopped being coincidence. I started digging through more files. Not all of them matched, but a lot did. Clusters. Events happening at the exact same second across different cameras, different areas. And in every one of those, it was there. Not moving between locations, not traveling, just present in multiple places at once. That's what finally broke the contained idea for me. Because containment only works if something has a single location. This didn't. I went back to the review folder after that. There was one file I hadn't opened yet. Longest one in the whole archive. No timestamp in the file name. Just labeled session_04. I almost didn't click it. But at that point, stopping felt pointless. The video opens the same way as the other review clip. Screen recording, internal system, audio from 2 people. Different voices this time. More tense. The footage they're reviewing is split across multiple panels, 4 camera feeds at once, different parts of the facility, all synced to the same timestamp, 1:22:09. My chest tightened as soon as I saw it, because I already knew what was coming. Panel 1, corridor. Panel 2, holding room. Panel 3, exterior fence. Panel 4, some kind of large open interior space. Looked like a loading area. All empty for about 2 seconds. Then it appears in all 4 at the same time. Not identical positions, not mirrored. Each one is slightly different. Different stance, different angle, but it's the same thing, same proportions, same wrong shape, standing in 4 separate locations simultaneously. One of the people in the recording says, "Pause it." Everything freezes. You can hear breathing now. Not calm, controlled, but barely. The other person says, "This is the first full overlap." Silence for a second. Then, "It's not traveling. No, it's selecting." That word stuck. Selecting. Like locations weren't distance-based. Like it wasn't bound to space the way everything else is. They resume playback. In the corridor feed, the maintenance guy is backing away. Same clip I saw earlier. In the holding room, the 2 staff are stepping in. Same moment. At the fence, the guard is approaching. And in the 4th panel, there's someone else, standing still, facing it, not backing away, not confused, just standing there like they were expecting it. The person in the recording notices too. Who is that? They zoom the 4th panel. The image gets worse as it enlarges, but you can still make it out. It's another staff member. No visible panic, no hesitation. The thing steps closer to them, and they don't move. The audio in the recording shifts. Someone typing, pulling up data. "No badge ID," one of them says. "What do you mean, no badge?" "There's no entry log, no access record. They're not assigned to this sector." That's when it clicked. Not fully, but enough. The other voice says it before I can even process it. Play it back 10 seconds earlier. They rewind. The panel resets. Empty space again. Then, the person is already there. Same position, same stance. Like they didn't enter. Like they were always in frame. Just unnoticed. Until the thing appeared. The room went quiet after that. Even through the recording, you could feel it. Then one of them says, very quietly, "It's not the only one." I actually felt cold hearing that, because up until that point, I've been thinking of it as a single thing. One entity, one presence. But that suggested something else entirely. The video plays forward again. In all 4 panels, the same pattern. It approaches. People either see it or don't. Some react, some don't. And then, that sound, that same impact noise, across all 4 feeds, at the same time. But in the 4th panel, the one with the still person, nothing happens. No reaction, no movement. The thing stops in front of them, and for the first time, it does something different. It leans forward, close enough that its head should be right in front of theirs, and the person tilts their head the exact same way, mirroring it perfectly. The video glitches, hard, full distortion across all panels. Audio cuts for a second. When it comes back, all 4 feeds are empty. No people, no thing, nothing. Just blank, quiet spaces. The recording ends right after that. No discussion, no explanation. I didn't move for a while after watching that. Didn't replay it. Didn't open anything else. Just sat there, staring at the file list. Because at that point, I wasn't thinking about whether it was real or fake anymore. I was thinking about that line again. It doesn't register unless it wants to. And something else started bothering me. Not the videos, not the files, the download, the warning about metadata. I went back and checked. I hadn't scrubbed anything, which means that archive still had whatever tracking, tagging, or embedded data it originally came with. I don't know why that hit me so late, but when it did, I tried to delete the folder, not move to trash, full delete. It went through. Folder gone, everything cleared. I even wiped the drive after. But here's the part I can't explain. 2 nights later, I was working again. Normal stuff, editing, YouTube in the background, nothing weird. And I opened my video panel to import footage. And there it was. Not the whole archive, just one file. No folder, no path, just sitting there in the recent files list. Same naming format, same timestamp, 1/22/09. I didn't click it. I just stared at it, because I knew exactly what I'd see if I opened it again. I shut the laptop, left it like that, and I haven't touched that machine since. But every now and then, usually late, when everything's quiet and my phone stops buzzing, I catch myself thinking about something I didn't notice until afterward. In that last clip, that 4th panel, the one with the person who didn't react, the one with no badge, no record, no entry log. I didn't recognize them at the time. Low quality, bad angle, easy to ignore. But after I stepped away from it, after I stopped watching and just let it sit in my head, something about it started to feel familiar. Not enough to place it, just enough to bother me. Like seeing someone in public you almost recognize, but can't quite remember from where. And that feeling hasn't gone away. It's gotten worse. Because now, sometimes, when I'm sitting here late at night, with my screen reflecting back at me, I get this brief, stupid thought that I can't shake. That if I looked just a little longer, or if the lighting shifted the wrong way, I'd realize where I've seen that face before.